Got a John Deere rear frame and spindle. Gonna do an update on a video. So when your bushing gudgeon goes out, it will typically get into your spindle. It'll make a big groove wherever it sits. So you can replace your gudgeon with a bearing gudgeon without replacing your spindle. There's no need to, even if it's worn. Deere says it's okay, and you just put the bearing over the spindle and the affected area doesn't matter. But what I want to show is when you do need to consider it. So anyway, we were making some displays, excuse me. So the 9000 series had a unique one. Early 9020 had a unique one. Late 9020 had a unique, 9030, etc. So basically there's a lineage with all the series. And all of those are a little different here. If you can, the camera is kind of picking up that little groove. So this is sort of like a indicator, or wear, I've said wear ring, but it's a wear mark or whatever. So what happens is when your tractor's pulling, and it's pulling this way, you know, I hate to do it, but the only way I can describe it, you know, your shaft is thrusting, you know, this is thrusting into the gudgeon because that's how the torque works on it. So what happens is when your bearing goes out and you don't catch it, your gudgeon is going to rub up against your frame. So the reason that is a negative or bad deal is what happens is it eats into this little area here, and then when you can go in and put a brand new, you could put a new spindle, a new gudgeon, and new seals and everything in it. But if you can't seal it off, well, you know, the seal is there to keep dirt out of the bearings. And I don't know, I'm sure, I guess you could machine this or whatever, but you know. So when you're buying, we just made a video showing how to sort of check that on the tractor. This is just off the tractor so you can see it a little bit better, and it's kind of getting dark, so it's not going to be the best quality. But, you know, there you go. You can see that little groove line. So if it wears into this, and it won't wear, think about that, it'll wear, it's kind of like a 6 to 9 is where it wears. You know, it won't wear up in here. So if you're looking at it on the tractor, that's where you have a wider gap on the top and either no, you know, less or no gap on the bottom. That's going to tell you that you've got problems. So when that happens, that's when, one, you're going to have a rear frame if you're going to keep the tractor. But what we've also been doing is putting together basically a set. So we do a gudgeon, spindle, rear frame. We're even doing rebuilds on them. So probably going to do that as an exchange program, so that it's the fastest way to repair those in the times when you have to have one and you've got a major issue. So we're going to be making our lineage here to show the differences in, you know, this is a 9000 or 9020 because it has a square support beam. As we make the rest of these, you'll start seeing differences here. We start seeing differences here. You get into the 9030, you get a thicker drawbar area where you can put a spacer or put a Cat 5 drawbar in there. So a lot of subtle differences that matter. And so that's why we're putting some of these well, I don't want to say these are not sellable, but you know, no one wants a burnt one. So we had a bunch of these. We're just going to make us a little show and tell, and then that way we can try to do a little bit better job of helping you understand it. Also, I got the hub soaking in my CRC rust remover. We'll see what that looks like tomorrow.